One.
Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Rosalyn Kahn with Mr. Rey Ybarra. It's great to have you here on Community of Unity. How you doing, Ray?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm doing even better now that I'm here with you. This has been a long time coming, and I'm really looking forward to it, Rosalind. Thank you for having me.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I'm going to take us back in time. The last time you and I connected was a bowling alley on Ventura Boulevard, and you had some amazing people from your Shark Tank and so on and so forth. And we're going to take a camera, we're going to go snap back. Do you
Yeah.
remember that moment way back then?
Oh, yeah, I do. It was actually it's a few years ago now. As time really flies, and that event was really cool. Going back in my early days of working with the Shark Tank entrepreneurs, that was one of the local early events. I had produced prior to that a multimedia book and spent tons of time in the studio with so many of the great entrepreneurs from Shark Tank that trusted me to record their stories and share their stories and struggles with the world. And so, in support of that book, multimedia book, I partnered with local businesses, and that business there on Ventura Boulevard, which is Ventura Bowling Alley.
Right, right.
Scott Fregure was the general manager at the time, running that whole place, and he was fantastic. He was everything about Shark Tank he loved. You know, he was an entrepreneur. He ran the place, and so he loved every aspect of the show. And when he found out that I had produced this book and was working with the entrepreneurs, he wanted to sponsor an event.
Oh
And
my gosh.
and so he was just fantastic. Anything that I wanted, whether it be catering, uh, whatever, marketing. He even put on the marquee out there on Ventura Boulevard my event that was going to take place, and blasted all sorts of video on the monitors, on the big monitors and then the bowling alley monitors inside about my event. And
Wow.
and it totaled about $20,000 worth of sponsorship that he gave me for that event. And
Oh my
you were there,
gosh.
you
Yeah,
were
I was there.
there,
Yep.
and that started my kickoff tour. And from there it just exploded and went across the United States in some incredible venues across the United States.
Wow. That is absolutely amazing. So, whatever happened to this guy? Did he move on? Is he still around or
No, Scott, he started to have some health challenges, and
Mhm.
he was around the age to where he said, okay, I think it's time that I move on and move back to Kansas City, where I'm from, and just kind of spend more time with my family. And my kids are growing up, they're going to college, and I think it's time for me to move on. And sadly, he did move on, and unfortunately, the gentleman who took his place was nothing like Scott. Scott was well, he's like you, a people person,
Right,
genuine like
right,
yourself. And you
right.
can't ask for any more than someone who's a people person and who's genuine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You either have it or you don't have it. I think I went sometime after that event and went and looked for you, and no, he's not here. I don't know where he's at. Can't tell you how to find him, and boom, it was gone. That was it. That was it.
Yeah, yeah. And
So,
Scott, well, the bowling before the pandemic, it's a hot spot. Everybody comes there to socialize. Bowling is huge, and that area right there in Ventura Boulevard is a hot spot for all sorts of businesses. It's by Studio City Studios,
right, right, right,
and
right. Exactly.
everybody who's anybody goes there, and you can see Magic Johnson or whoever there on any night bowling. Everybody loves to bowl. It's a very social sport.
No, no, that's amazing. So, since that time, what's happened with you? What have
Oh
you been
well,
since then?
yeah. There's a lot that's been taking place. As I mentioned, I went on a tour across the United States. I partnered with some of the biggest organizations for entrepreneurs, business
Hmm.
professionals, uh, small business owners, and college entrepreneurs.
Oh, wow.
And I partnered with the Small Business Expo.
Great.
They and Network After Work Group, the biggest group of business professionals.
Hmm.
Um, CEO Focus, which is another group of business CEOs,
Uh-huh.
and the NACI, National Association for Community College Entrepreneurship, biggest organization.
Right, right, right.
We talked about that, and the local colleges
Oh,
and
wow.
the young entrepreneurs. The JUCOs are, and you know this better than most because you're a professor.
Right,
They are incredible what they're doing with all aspects of education now, and in particular entrepreneurship. And they're rivaling the 4-year colleges
wow.
for what they are doing. And the kids, when I produce my panels for them, Santa Monica College picked me up,
Right,
sponsored me for a lot of events until the pandemic hit, of course.
right.
But we would fill the auditoriums there. We'd have
Oh,
300
wow.
300 people in attendance, and the kids just absolutely loved the Shark Tank entrepreneurs and got to interact with them, ask them questions.
Right,
And
right,
everywhere
right.
I went with this whole thing, it just expanded and it grew.
Oh my God, that is amazing. That is amazing. So, um, tell me, where do you see the future of what's going on and what's happening?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you for asking that. It's kind of a crystal ball question, isn't it? It's
It's
with everything that has happened with the pandemic, how it has flipped everything upside down. Um, we have a somewhat of an idea. Nobody has all the answers, of course, but I think from speaking with my Shark Tank entrepreneur friends during this time, many of them are very even more successful than they were before the pandemic hit.
beautiful.
And because they already had established themselves as their brand and online,
Hmm.
online, their businesses grew by as much as 400% during this
Wow.
time because
Wow.
everybody was inside. People couldn't go anywhere. Now that things are opening up, it's still my good friend, my Shark Tank entrepreneur friend, Dr. Edna Mon. Edna was there that night at the bowling alley.
Oh, wow.
She's a dear friend of mine, and she's a doctor.
Oh, wow.
And so she was telling me and explaining a lot of the things about this whole pandemic and what is
Hmm.
true, what is politicized,
Hmm.
uh, what is not true. And it's a very difficult question because now we're heading into a new phase of it. And you see, I was telling my wife, I said, how can these NFL stadiums be packed with 100,000 people now during this pandemic? When you still have what did they say, 40 million people that are still not vaccinated, or tens of millions have only had one vaccine. How are they getting away with that during this time? It's beyond me. But here we are, and the key to everything, Rosalyn, now is everybody's made the pivot on Shark Tank. We just had season 12, and they
Wow.
talked about the pandemic, and what these entrepreneurs did was they pivoted all online and grew their businesses even more, and they all grew because everybody was inside.
Right, right, right. It's the old idea that you don't have distractions. You don't have things that can take you off and pull on you here and pull on you there. So you got to just, turn off the phone and spend that time looking at those things that are truly most important.
Yeah, exactly. So here we are with Shark Tank season 13, and it's
Wow.
going stronger than ever, and especially now with the pandemic that is here, and it's still here, and it's changed everything. So uh, the answer to your question simply is pivoting online. The whole lesson to this whole thing is that, okay, like you had your live events, and I saw your wonderful TEDx uh, talk, which was
Mhm.
out of this world. It was fantastic. Congratulations on that.
Oh, thank you, thank you. And
And for me, all of my I had almost 2 years worth of live events booked, and just overnight they all went away. So I had to make the pivot, and I invested in my studio,
Mhm.
and learned a lot about new softwares, and basically put together a whole new studio during this time, and learned all sorts of skills on everything. And so that is the future. The future is here now, because anytime we can come up with another variant of this thing, and it's going to floor everybody again, and then what are you going to do? So
Right, right.
online, all of my entrepreneurs said online is you have to have that. You really have to have that.
No, definitely, definitely. Well, I want to just take a quick commercial break and
Mhm.
we're going to come right back. So if you could just hold on real tight, we'll be back with you in just a moment here. All right?
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, so we're gonna do another cut, and at the very end, I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna say, well, that's it, folks. Let's just go ahead and wrap up. I'm gonna say, we just had an interview. You've done tens and millions of thousands of interviews. What did you especially like about this? And then I'll lead off with that when I go ahead and produce it and stuff like that with my
Okay,
good old
sure.
friend Joe Boy. All right,
Oh yeah, got it.
having fun, having fun.
Oh yeah, this is fantastic. Wonderful.
And if you can, when you get to the end, just talk about some of the videos that you've seen me gone that I've shared with you that you've seen me out there doing and the
Oh
young leadership event and stuff like that. If you can
yeah,
just put that, I don't know if you saw the video that I put up this morning about 8 o'clock.
I didn't see that. No, I haven't seen that. I watched your TEDx, which I can talk about that. That's just
Right, right, right. Well,
that,
there's a speech that I gave this morning. It was to the kids about the end of the event and just really heartfelt talking about the A+ performance that they had done and talked about, it doesn't matter the age that you are,
mhm.
whether you're 8 or you're 88, everyone can go ahead and accomplish this out in the world of what's going on and what's happening. I talked about the awardees of every from Sunday sermons to every discipline and every act of life was represented in that conference from young to old,
Oh,
and about the sheer awe, the heartfelt feeling in your heart of just seeing these amazing kids
mm,
doing incredible things. And I said that, on any day that you're down in the dumps and you think no one knows you, no one sees you, you've made a difference here today. And remember that you are important. It's not the likes, the follows, and things like that that really matter. It's that you're here today and what you did.
yeah.
That's basically that's the speech right
Oh
there.
yeah, that's a great message though.